Divas! So far we have learned two different markup languages. We've learned HTML, which you can see right here under type, HTML file. Most of us have built an index.html page and maybe some other HTML pages, and those pages all end in .html. And that is the most basic web page. We've also learned CSS, and that stands for Cascading Style Sheet. So these are our CSS files. Most of us have built a style.css page, and so that's CSS. And CSS is another markup language that that tells our website how we want it to look. So it governs the colors, the fonts, the font colors, sizes, padding, shapes, all kinds of things like that. Next, we're going to learn two programming languages, and these are real interactive programming languages. You can do anything in them at all. They are PHP and JavaScript. And so, first of all, we're going to talk a little bit about what those languages do. So, I have this diagram for you. What's happening when you get a web page from a site? So, the client right here, this side right here, that's your computer that you're sitting at right now. That's the computer that I'm sitting at right now that I'm making this presentation on. That's the computer that you're working on that has a keyboard, it has a monitor, it has a mouse, all that good stuff. That is called the client. And when you go into Chrome and you type in your website address, you are asking for a web page. And so your request goes to the server where that web page lives, and the server is in the internet. That web page is physically stored on a computer that's called a server. The computer looks a little bit different than your physical computer that you're sitting at right now. It looks more like this, and it takes your request. So, for instance, I ask for index.html, and it looks for that file on its computer, and it sends it back to the client. So each side speaks different languages. The client side speaks HTML and CSS, which we've learned so far, and those are languages that actually your browser speaks, Chrome, and so it takes that code. It knows, it takes the HTML and CSS code, and it knows how to display that based on what you've said in your code. And it also speaks a full programming language as well, and that programming language is called JavaScript. There's another programming language that's useful to have, and that is one that the server speaks over here, and that's called PHP. And there are several different server programming languages. We're learning just PHP. There are also lots of others. You might hear Ruby, for instance, is a common one. We're learning PHP because that's probably, if not the most common, one of the more common ones. And so let's talk just for a second about when you would use different programming languages. The server-side programming languages are for things that are secure. So for instance, if you're running a transaction, you're selling, say shoes for instance. We've got a web diva who is selling shoes. We're working on a shoe selling site. So if you were selling shoes for instance, you would need to compute the price of the shoes, the price of the full transaction if somebody's buying more than one pair of shoes, and the tax on the shoes, the shipping and handling, all that kind of stuff. And you want to do that securely on the server side because you don't want the client, the person who's buying the shoes, to be able to just make up whatever price they want. So basically for interactive stuff that needs to be secure, we do that in PHP. And so this is for stuff again, like prices, maybe things like dates, times. For Gmail, for instance, when you go into your Gmail and you get emails, all your emails are delivered by PHP because the emails need to be correct. JavaScript is another useful language, JavaScript over here on the client side. And JavaScript is used for things that are more like interactive features that don't necessarily need to be secure, but they're fun to have. So like pop-ups or games or notifications, ads are often in JavaScript. Things that are just kind of extras, fun extras. So that's a very quick overview. As you start using JavaScript and PHP, you'll get more of a handle of it. So let's start using it. So a quick Actually, sorry, we'll do JavaScript first. So objective 1, pick a page that you'll add JavaScript to. I'm going to pick test.html. So I go to edit my test.html. Okay. It says choose a page that already has the HTML header code. If you don't have the HTML header code, then you'll need to get it. And so over here I can tell that I don't have the HTML header code because there's no HTML tag, there's no head tag. It's just the stuff that I've added on my own. H1 and image. So I'm going to hit command click on this link to get activity set 2, because step 2 and 3 have the header code that I need. So click on here and then copy and paste. That header code goes at the very top of your page. Oops, we didn't get the copy, hit it a couple times. No, it still didn't go. There we go. There we go, copy and paste. So this has the style sheet. If you want to link your style sheet, you can do that. Just remember to change this name to your username right there. It's already Katie, so I'm leaving it as Katie. And then the bottom goes at the bottom. So I will copy that. And I'm control clicking to get the copy menu. And then command V to paste. Take out those numbers there. And so what I did is I added the markup. It's the markup tags, the start tags and the end tags, everything from doc type down to body, and then body to HTML, that add the ability for us to add JavaScript. And so this is what makes it a valid HTML file, actually. It needs to have this top part and this bottom part. And if you don't have the top part and the bottom part, like we did in the first couple days we met of webdivas, or maybe some of your pages, your browser can still understand how to display that, but it really does need to have this top part and this bottom part. Okay, so save that. And now, let's go back to activity set 5, where we were. And now we're adding this JavaScript. So copy and paste the code below between the head and the head tags and the closing head tag. So I copy this. I'm going to highlight, control click to copy. So it can go anywhere between the starting head tag and the ending head tag. So here's my starting head tag and here's my ending head tag. So I can put it anywhere in between. And people usually put it on a new line so that it's easy to read. Okay. So I'm going to save that. And just notice what the code says. It says alert, welcome to Katie's site. So I'm going to see what that does. So refresh my page. So this is my original page. I'm going to refresh it to see what it does. Aha! So it gives me a pop-up that says welcome to Katie's site. So now I can change this. I can say, welcome to my personal site, for instance, just to change that and see what it does. Save that, refresh, hooray! So it says welcome to my personal site. So JavaScript, this is JavaScript right here. Everything between the script, the starting script tag and the ending script tag, that's JavaScript. And JavaScript is letting us do interactive stuff with our site, interactive stuff on the user side. So this is an HTML tag, actually, script, and this is the closing HTML tag. Remember, all tags have to have a closing tag, or at least if they don't have a closing tag, they have to be self-closing. And some HTML tags are self-closing, and some HTML tags have their own closing tag. So this is a closing tag. This link tag, for instance, is self-closed. But every HTML tag has to have a closing of some sort. And so script, this is a HTML tag. The stuff inside of it, though, is not HTML. This is JavaScript. So everything between script tags is JavaScript. Okay, so that's JavaScript, and that's a programming language. We've just done something really simple right now, but once you start getting into JavaScript, you can do a lot of really cool interactive things, all the way up to building interactive games. So really fun stuff. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to use PHP. And PHP is our server language. This is the language that allows us to do some things that are more secure. For instance, things like computing a price of something, or displaying emails, or something that needs to be very secure and needs to be very correct. And so we need to first tell the server to expect PHP code. And so we're going to do objective 3, rename your page so that it ends in .php. So I'm going to click on test.html and scroll over here and click rename. So I'm going to rename this to test.php. And the reason is that .php will tell my server that it needs to do some work in PHP before it delivers that file to my client. So again, I'll look at this picture. So when I rename the file .php, the server holds all the files. And so when it notices that a file ends in .php, it realizes, oh, I need to do some work. All of the code that is in PHP, I need to go ahead and execute that and then send the file back to the client. And the file that gets sent back to the client from there is HTML, but the .php tells it that it needs to do some work beforehand. So really from now on, we're going to want to end all of our files in .php, actually. You don't need to change any of your HTML files. You don't need to change any of the content of your HTML files, but if you ever want to put PHP in them, you're going to need to name it .php. Otherwise, the server is not going to understand that it needs to do work. Okay, so go into test.php. Now that it's named .php, we could put PHP in it. So, objective 4, copy and paste the following code anywhere between body and the closing body tags. So let's find those tags first. My starting body tag is right here, and my closing body tag is right here. So I can paste that anywhere I want. I'm going to click on this, highlight it all, Control click to hit copy, and then I'm going to put it right here. I'm going to paste that right here. Ah, it must not have copied. Copy. Ah, I just copied that. Highlight all of this. Control click, copy. There we go, paste. Okay. So I'm going to save that and see what that does. And well, actually, first of all, let's just look at what this is doing. We've got an opening piece of code right here, and this opening piece of code says start doing PHP. And so PHP is your programming language where you can do some more interactive things that you can't do in HTML. Because HTML is just a markup language, it just displays how to format text. And to pull in images and things like that. It doesn't really do interactive things. Like you can't build a game in HTML, for instance, that's really very interactive. You could probably do something simple, but you can't do, some kind of big web app or something. These programming languages give you a lot more options. So this piece right here says start doing PHP. And this piece right here says stop doing PHP. And the piece in the middle says echo a date. And so this piece right here tells it how to echo that date. And so by echo we mean it's going to print out a date. And that's today's date. So we'll save that. Next I want to see what that did. So I'm going to refresh my page. And the reason actually that I got an internal server error right there is because I don't have a test.html page anymore. Remember, because I named it test.php. So I need to change this right here to test.php because now my page is a PHP page. And so I get that message that I first programmed in JavaScript. I say OK. And then now it says today's date, March 22nd. Cool. Okay. So what actually happened here when I put in my PHP code? Let's go back to activity5 and see the next thing that we're doing. So at the top of your browser in Chrome, go to View Developer View Source. You need to first be clicked on your page. So click on the tab that has your page, and then go to View Developer View Source. And this gives you the code for the page. And actually you can do this for any page at all. For instance, I can go to Cute Overload is a good one. I can go to cuteoverload.com, which has some awesome cat pictures and lots of other things. And I can go to, just make sure I'm clicked on the tab. I can go to View, Developer, View Source, and that shows me all of the HTML code of this page, which is actually a really useful thing to be able to do, because then you can see how other people are building other things and you can learn from that. So for instance, from here I can see that they've added a description that tells people what Cute Overload is. It tells search engines, for instance, what Cute Overload is. And there's lots of other stuff I can play with and look at here. But back to what we're doing, I'm viewing the source of my file. And this is different from viewing the source on the server. This is the file that the server actually has. This is the file, so I'm going to pull this up again. Actually, just make this smaller so we can see all of them at once. Okay, so when I look at this right here, this is the file that my server has right here. When I look at this is the file that the client is looking at. What's the difference? Well, the difference is right here, it says PHP, echo the date. And right here, it actually says the date. And so what happened, looking back at our image right here, let's pull up preview, there we go. So looking back at our image right here, what happened is the server had this file. The server saw that it ended in .php and it said, oh, if I ever get a PHP tag like this, I need to do some work. And so right here it did some work to echo the current date, which means display the current date. And so it replaced this line right here with the actual current date. And then it sent that file to our computer. So we never saw the PHP tag right here. We just saw the actual date. And that's why the server in PHP can do very secure things, because we don't ever see this code. We don't see what's going on the server side. We just see what it displays. And so that way, there's no way that we can't change this code, because this is just the code we got. It's March 22nd. The server got to tell us what date it is, and this will be clearer as we do more PHP. But just keep in mind that PHP is where you do your more secure stuff. Okay. So going back to activity set 5, let's do one more thing. Everything really should be in tags. And I want to add just a little bit more text here. So I'm going to put this in a paragraph tag, and I'm going to say today's date is, and then I'm going to close my paragraph tag, save that, and then refresh my page. Hooray! So there we go. It says today's date and then the actual date. And then I can refresh the source as well. And I see that the source, so see it says on this side where the server is, it says today's date is, and then it tells the PHP on the server to do some work. And then on the client, the work is already done and the date is there. Okay, so that is PHP and JavaScript. Oh, one more thing. Let's see what the JavaScript did as well. The JavaScript code on this side, on the server side, tells the client to alert, which means display, a pop-up, welcome to my personal site. And when I look on the client, the code that the client has under view source, the code looks the same. And the reason the code looks the same is because the server is not doing any work before it gives it to the client. These are instructions for the client to do. These are instructions for my personal computer that I'm sitting at right now for my Chrome browser to do. And so again, if I look at this image, the server speaks PHP. So the server does all the PHP work, It sends all the HTML, CSS, and JavaScript work back to the client to do. So that is why our PHP looks different. The file on this side, this part right here, looks different than this because the PHP work is already done because that was done on the server. But this code looks the same on both sides because the JavaScript work gets done on the client. Okay, so we'll be playing with all these ideas in the following weeks. For now, go ahead and do activity set 5. Let us know if you have any questions with anything, and have fun. All right.